Hi, I'm Mike, and you're watching Spiritual Combat. And today, what we're talking about is the qualities um, of a good biblical woman. The qualities you need to look for when you're choosing a woman. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through the Bible verses, and so we can see what qualities a good woman needs to have. A woman you can marry, and make a good wife and everything like that. Um, and what you're gonna find is a lot of these verses aren't really taught in the church, and they're not, or when they do teach them, they'll water them down. But I'm a break them down in their logical meaning and understanding and everything like that. So uh, you can use them in your life when you're running into women or evaluate the women you're with. And I'll give some input on that. All right. So the first verse is gonna be Ephesians 5. Uh, it's Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22. And let's go to it here. And it says, "Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the Savior of the body. Therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything." Now that's tough, okay? Um, in this day and time, in this society, that's tough because this society has been completely flipped upside down by Satan and an evil spirit world, and it's the exact opposite of what's in the Bible. In this day and age, women are held on a pedestal, and men are treated like this throwaway thing. Okay, when you watch TV, media, everything like that. Well, and this verse right here and what I just read just eliminated probably every woman you've had a relationship with. You know what I'm saying? Not definitely 90% of the women you know. Um, but yeah, a woman needs to be respectful, not disrespectful. And I heard one guy, what he said is when you're dating a woman, he said, watch how they treat the help. It's a good indication of how they really are, how submitted they are, and respectful they're going to be. And I could confirm that. I dated a girl, and we went to this restaurant, and she talked to the waiter. The waiter got her order wrong or something, and she talked to the waiter like crap, just disrespected him. So it turned out she was bad news. So there's some weight to that. But anyway, this is something you need to be looking for. How respectful are they to you? You know, how submitted are they? You know, do they respect you? Or is it always like, good example? There's guys out there, they teach dating, how to date women and pick them up and meet them and all that stuff, and the stuff works, but it's a half truth. um, and that whole underground dating industry, um, when it first came out, the stuff was working and these guys were doing all this stuff, but then a bunch of them had nervous breakdowns. There was suicide and all this because it was a bunch of half truth. And one of the things they taught was how to, when a woman puts up, that attitude when you first meet them, they have techniques to get through it and get them to still, buy into you and like you, banter back and forth with them and all this stuff. But the thing is, if you walk up to a woman and they have an attitude and it's difficult to talk to them and they're not making it real easy, and I'm not talking about a woman who's kind of shy and awkward, you got to get through that. That's no big deal. But these women who just kind of put up a bitch shield kind of to you talking to them or have an attitude or they're just kind of weird and off, run for the hills. That's a huge sign that this is not who you want to be messing with. It is. If they're going to banter and go back and forth with you over the power, and hey, we're just bantering, going back and forth, we're just playing, you know, I'm telling you, that is a sign that this is a power woman who's going to, you just seeing the beginning of that iceberg, the tip of that iceberg. Leave them alone, when you're meeting a woman, it should be very easy to talk to them. It shouldn't, and right there, you guys have no idea how much time I'm saving you, but that's a big one. That's a big quality. That's a big sign that, hey, this woman is not going to submit to your authority. you know. So yeah. All right. So let's go to the next verse. All right. So the next verse is going to be 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 11. And let's go to it. It says, "Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection, but I suffer not a woman to teach nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. For Adam was first formed, then Eve. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression." Okay? Now, from my studying of this, and 1 second. Okay, there we go. So from my studying of this verse, they're not talking about don't let the women teach anything, anyone at all, and to be in silence. They're talking about in the church. She shouldn't be teaching spiritual things in the church because she's emotional, she's more easily deceived. That's who Satan goes after to deceive. But you have women pastors in the church and everything like that. And the other thing is to usurp authority over the man. And like I said, you got these women pastors in the church teaching men, and it's too easy for a woman to be deceived emotionally and all that. And not just in the church with the usurp authority, but a woman shouldn't usurp authority over a man, period. Now, you talk about at work. I don't know. I'm going to have to study that out more. I don't have the whole, all the ins and outs on that, but I would think that would apply to work also. And I'll tell you this, okay? A lot of these women who move up and are in these corporate leadership positions, in order to have that authority and to be in that leadership role, you can't be, you lose your femininity or your femininity, whatever the word is, but a woman will lose that because she has to put on this masculine authoritative role. And that woman is not going to really be that content and fulfilled and happy in life. Just like these single family homes and these homes where the woman runs the show, but they're not really content and happy and satisfied, and the relationship suffers when they have to put on that male authority role. A woman likes to be able to kind of let go and not be in this, like a man likes to be in that focused state, and that leader, he's naturally in that. He likes that. It's a turnoff for a woman to have a man, like for a man she's married to below her like that. To have authority over a man, it's going to be hard for a woman to be attracted to a man like that. But women are naturally attracted to male authority and power. There's a natural attraction to that. They're wired up that way. You know what I'm saying? When you act, and I've seen it when I've been out there. Like I've run into these alpha aggressive women, and they're used to they meet a man and they start dominating them and all this, or some, and these women I've run into it, they're smoking hot, and they're used to just having their way with men. And then somebody like me would, and this is before I was married, but somebody like me would come along, I wouldn't buy into it, and I'd talk to them like the woman they were. And I mean, initially they're acting like, oh, who you think you are, this, that, and the other. And I just keep my power and act like a real man. And, next thing you know, they trying to, throw them panties at you or whatever. And I have seen it. Okay. This is real. Okay. And that's how God has them wired up. When you out alpha them, because they're alpha females, and you out alpha them as a male, they just can't get you out of their head. So I'm not going in all that. I'm just trying to make a point. But yeah, so usurping authority and to be in silence. So what it's talking about there is I'm very positive, because I think there's another verse similar to that, and it's talking about the church. In church, they shouldn't be teaching men about the Bible. They shouldn't be having the authority over men when it comes to the word of God. So it just goes back to that, to my thing of women are supposed to respect men, and the Bible says to reverence them. And I think we'll get to that verse later, and I'll pull up the definition of reverence, which, most people probably already know, but we'll pull it up. Okay, the next verse. Okay. The next verse is going to be 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 1. Okay, so we're going to go to that. So here it is. Let me pull it up. All right, there we go. And it says, likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives. Okay. All right, so, and this is another one that the church doesn't teach, but and basically what this is saying is, wives, if you've gotten into the word of God, and you've gotten saved, and you're walking in the word, and your husband's still out in the world, if you fall into your biblical role as a woman, you'll win your man over. Because think about, you give your husband, you cook his meal, you don't nag him, you give him sex when he wants it. That's a happy man. That's all a man needs. The biggest one is you being in subjection and respecting him, and not nagging him and arguing him and all that and driving him crazy. That's all it takes to keep a man. It's that simple. The world's telling you, Oprah's telling you everything else. Oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. No, it's that simple. Okay? And so what they're saying is, if you do these things that the Bible says for you to do, if you fulfill your role as a biblical wife, you'll win your husband over. These women, and you look at these churches are full of women. It's damn near all women, because these churches target women because they're more emotional, they're easier to deceive and get money out of. So that's what they go after. And these pastors aren't telling them, they're telling them, get your husband out here and beat him over the head with the Bible and tell him he need to get his life right and he need to stop sinning, and the woman go home. Well, the pastor said, and the husband come home after a long day work, and he like, I'll never go to that daggone church. That pastor drive me daggone crazy. He making, man, So if it was a real pastor, like if I start a Bible study and there's women coming to my Bible study and their husbands aren't with them, I'm gonna tell that woman, you, I'm gonna be butcher. You better respect that man. You know, do what he asks of you. Don't nag him. Don't this. Don't that. And that husband's gonna be like, man, it's like, I don't know who that dude is, but I'm going out there because I like what he done did. You know, you'll have dudes coming in there thanking you and all that, you know, and you'll win him to Christ with your biblical woman behavior. But, you know, most women, they don't act like that. That's why this is a, you know, these women who go to church, um, you know, that's why they're not winning their husbands. You know, that's why their husbands hate church, you know, because, you know, they're not winning them over. They're not doing what's in the Bible. These women are just going to church, wow, blacking out, going crazy. So, like, a lot of people write me and they say, oh, yeah, this woman, she's a Christian, this, that, and the other. Is she like this? You know, or is it a power struggle? Or is it getting ready to be a power struggle? You know? Okay, so let's go to the next verse. Let's see what we got here. Okay. Okay. So now, so look at this. This kind of goes along with what I was saying. It's First Peter chapter 3. It's a couple verses down. It's verse 5. So let me pull that up and I'll go to that real quick. And what it says here in verse 5, it says, let's go to it. It says, for after this manner in the old time, the holy women also, the holy women also who trusted in God adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husband. It says, even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well and are not afraid with any amazement. Okay, so Sarah called Abraham Lord. Okay, these women in the church, these so-called Christian women, and of course these women of the world, they'll be damned if they call you Lord or anything like that. You know, they're like, well, that's the Old Testament or something. Well, buddy, this is in the New Testament. We just read it. You know, so. I don't know how they're getting around that, but these women in the church are nightmares, and they're not subject to their husbands. They're subject to the daggone pastor. That pastor needs to send them women home and tell those women, ask your husband if it's okay for you to come out here next time. If your husband ask your husband if he wants you to cook him a meal. You know, respect your husband. That's what the pastor needs. Pastors aren't telling them this, okay? And that's why these women, these relationships are disasters today, because they're not. People have no idea, you know, what's going on. But these are the things you need to look at when you meet these women, or if you're married, or whatever. And yeah, if you married to a wife and she going to one of these churches and coming home and acting crazy and all that, you need to drill that verse into her head and ask her if her pastor teaches her that. You know what I'm saying? All right, so we're gonna go to the next one. And that was the subjection section. Okay, so now we're gonna go into some of the qualities that you need to watch out for. You know, try to avoid. It says, all right, this is Proverbs 14. Okay. This is Proverbs 14, chapter 14, verse 1. Okay. And what it's saying is, oops. Okay, let me pull it up here. So Proverbs 14, verse 1, it says, every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh it down with her hands. And that's talking about the argumentative woman that's just gonna just nag her husband, not gonna do what her husband says, strong-willed, struggle for power all the time, all that stuff like that. She's gonna tear her house apart. That she gonna kick the man out, or the man gonna move out. She's gonna get custody of the kids and just destroy her house. Then the kid's gonna grow up to either be a thug, or he's gonna grow up to be gay, or he's gonna grow up to be feminized and he's gonna have a bunch of screwed up relationships. So a wise woman buildeth up her house. She keeps her mouth shut. She respects her husband. You know, she understands her role as wife. You know, she's not trying to be this the wife that society tells her she's supposed to be, which is changing all the time. She's being a biblical wife, and she's gonna build up a strong house. The husband is going to be content and relaxed, and the wife's going to be content and relaxed, and the children are going to grow normally, not grow up dysfunctionally. Okay? So let's see what the next verse is. All right. It says, all right. Okay, the next verse is Proverbs. One sec. Let me pull it up correctly. Okay, the next verse is Proverbs chapter 21, verse 19. Okay? And it says, better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and angry woman. And that's the New King James Version. Let's see what the King James Version says. It is better to dwell in the wilderness than with a covetous and an angry woman. Okay? Oh, I'm sorry, contentious. I'm sorry about that. And what I'm going to do is pull up that definition, the definition of covetous. It says, causing or likely to cause an argument, controversial, okay, involving heated argument. You see, one of these women that's gonna fight you all the time. So, you know, and the way to know when you first meet a woman if she's gonna be like that is there bantering? Is she trying to jockey for power, or is it an easy, respectful conversation where it's not all this kind of, you know, joke power, you know, these power jokes or whatever you want to call it, little mocking things to jockey for power, you know what I'm talking about? Is that what's going on, or is it, you know, is she is it just a nice, smooth, easy conversation without all the little jokes and jabs and little joking punches, you know, verbal jabs and verbal punches jokingly, but they're really power tests to see, hey, how is this guy going to cower to me? You know, that's what a lot of that is. Or this weird energy where you could just feel it. Or is it just a nice, smooth, easy conversation where she's helping you out? It's not difficult, you know, it goes smooth. You know, that's what you got to look for. And then if you're in a relationship and she's this type of woman, well, you already know. I don't have to point out what it is. Okay? And then I'm going to do a video on, if you're married to a woman like that, how to deal with them. Okay? I'm going to do one on that. Okay? But, you know, it's just showing you how bad it is to deal with a woman like that. You know, it said better to live in the wilderness, you know? So how bad is that? That nagging, you know? It's horrible. Okay? All right, so let's see what the next one is. All right. So what we're going to do now is go to Proverbs 21. Um, it's going to be verse 9. That one was 19. Now we're going to verse 9, and it says, um, and this is along the same lines. Here, I'll pull it up. It says, "It is better to dwell in a corner of the housetop than with a brawling woman in a wide house." So it's saying it's better to be on your roof in a corner than with a woman, with a brawling woman, a woman who's nagging. And the Bible's trying to warn you, it, if you're with a if you're with one of these contentious, argumentative women, get out of there. Don't marry that. Run. It's horrible to be with, you know. So the Bible's warning you, and go ask somebody who's married to one, and I'm sure they will warn you. Okay, that you're not gonna change it. See, one of the big deceptions. A lot of people are like, oh, I could get her to, she'll change because she loves me. Most people don't change. You know, this ain't no fixer upper thing, man. You're gonna get what you get. So you need to be looking for these major signs when you first meet somebody, because it ain't gonna change. Why you think the divorce rate is the way it is? Why you think the infidelity rate, that so many people are cheating and all this stuff? Okay, so all right. So let's see the next verse. Okay, this one. All right, pull this up. And this is Ecclesiastes, if I pronounced that right. I'm trying. Okay. But it's Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 26. And it says, "And I find more bitter than death the woman whose heart is snares and nets, and her hands as bands. Whoso pleaseth God shall escape from her, but the sinner shall be taken by her." And these are these tricky, manipulative women who, they play the role, and get you into a relationship. You locked in, you married, and then they show who they really are. They show what their agenda really is. Uh, I heard one preacher say how this woman, a lot of these women, that they'll marry somebody, um, because of the job, let them get them pregnant, have some kids, and then put them on child support and leave them or whatever. And now you locked in for 20 or more years, and it's destroy men. They got this agenda where they're gonna manipulate you. See, the Bible warns men about women. The Bible doesn't warn women about men anywhere. Okay? Because these women are tricky. You got the story with Samson. You got the very first story of humans in the book, Adam. The woman got deceived and then deceived Adam, and they sinned. You got Jezebel and Ahab. You got stories of these women, wicked women, deceiving the men, and warnings all through the Bible, just like I'm reading right now. You don't see the Bible warning women about men. It's you. Men. You have to be careful. It's a minefield out there. Okay. That's what the majority of my videos on spiritual combat are about, is about the minefield out there. Okay? So, yeah, don't get tricked. Don't get caught up. All right? Now, let's see what the next verse is. Okay. It says Okay. All right. Okay. So, all right. The next one is Proverbs chapter 9, verse 13. And how it reads is, let's go to it. It says, a foolish woman is clamorous. She is simple and knoweth nothing. Okay? And we're just going to read that one. We're not going to go into 14 right now, verse 14. But what it's saying is, when you see these, well, I like doing definitions. So let's pull up the definition of clamorous. Okay? It says making a loud and confused noise, expressing or characterized by vehement protests and demands. Okay, that was pretty good. Um, Marked by confused din or outcry. Well, I like that one. It says expressing or characterized by vehement protests or demands. Okay, so what the Bible's telling you here is a foolish woman is clamorous. She is simple and knoweth nothing. So it's telling you when you see these loud women who are argumentative and all that stuff, they're not wise. They're unwise. They don't know anything. Okay, they're simple as heck. Okay, uh, so you need to run for the hills. Don't get caught up in that. All right. Um, so it's helping you characterize. So you can be, instead of being out there like, oh well she did do this, and you're trying to evaluate all this stuff. Like me, once I got all this knowledge, I can look at a woman. Oh, she's a nightmare. I'm done. Like I said before, you're looking at ones and zeros, black or white, this or that. None of this vague. Oh, you gotta let the heart feel what it might want. You never know. It might, it could, and all these vague words. Now, the Bible is this or that, either or. You see this behavior and it means this. So you start discerning and you can figure it out, and you're not going to destroy yourself stepping on minefields. Okay? So, all right. So, yeah. All right. So let's see if I have anything else there. Okay. So now I'm going to go over some godly qualities of women. I'm going to just go over a couple of them, okay? So let's go to Proverbs, and um, a good chapter to read it is whoops, hold on, there we go. A good chapter to read is Proverbs 31. Read that whole thing. It's King Lemuel's mother telling him about women, teaching him. Um, but we're going to go to Proverbs 31, chapter 10. And you might hear sometimes Proverbs 31 woman. Okay? So that's what they're referring to. It's a good one to read. It shows the qualities of a good woman. It kind of goes through her daily routine, you know. So it says, "Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies." Okay, and let's look up that word and let's see what. Let's get the definition. All right, let's see what's up. It says having or showing high moral standards. Okay, having or exhibiting virtue, morally excellent, righteous. And righteous is a good one. So basically, a righteous woman. And let's look up. I like the definition of righteous. Let's look that up. If I could get it pulled up. Okay, I can do this. I can do it. Oops, there we go. Just double click it. All right, it says righteous of a person or conduct, morally right or justified, virtuous, acting in according with divine or moral law. Okay, so who can find a virtuous woman, a woman according to the standards of the Bible? It's priceless. And, and and why is it priceless? Like me as a married man, like let me give you two examples, and you be the judge. You come home from work, you know, you're tired, you're physically tired, you're emotionally tired from dealing with all those crazy people at work. You come home, you walk in the house, your wife has a dinner cooking, getting ready to be ready. She says, "Hi, honey, I miss you," gives you a hug, whatever. You know, go take your shower and dinner will be ready. The kids are peaceful. Their hair, you know, everything's taken care of. Okay? You get out the shower, the plate's there on the table. You eat your food. Okay, baby, go relax. 'Cause I know you tired, this, that, and the other. You go relax. She comes in later, you know, gives you some of that thing. You know what I'm saying? You go to sleep and it's all good. Or this, you come home, she walking around with an attitude, nagging you. When are you gonna do this? When are you gonna do that? Blah, 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 blah. You like, what the heck? There ain't no food made. The kids is running around like wild, you know, Comanches or something. You know what I'm saying? Everything crazy. She just nagging, nagging, nagging. I ain't doing nothing for you. Leave me alone. Blah, blah, blah. Nagging you. When you gonna do this? You fix yourself a slop sandwich. You know, you throw some meat on there or whatever and eat that, and you go to bed, she's still nagging. And we ain't doing nothing because you sorry and blah, blah. You know, think about it. You know, the Bible says she's your helpmate. She's help. The Bible says help meet, but it means she helps you. She's there for support. You're not there to support her and to worship her. She's there. She's your support. You pioneer and lead. Okay. And what I'm saying, I understand, like in my house, my wife works, okay? So I'm not expecting her to get home and have dinner made and all that stuff like that. But my wife lets me be the leader in this house, okay? She follows my lead because she knows I'm leading righteously according to the Bible. So she'll let me lead. It's not a power struggle here, you know? We have it worked out. A certain night she does cook, you know? If I'm needing some of that thing, she gives it to me. She doesn't use it as a manipulation tool. She doesn't use sex as a manipulation tool to get her way and all that. She understands I'm a man and I have a sex drive, you know what I'm saying? So she can nurture me with food and just being loving and giving me that thing and all that stuff like that, and helps me keep my mind right. Man, I like my last supervisor, his wife wasn't that. You know, he probably done already got divorced, but he had a disaster at home, and it showed at work because he was like right on the edge. You know, you could, after being around him for not too long, you could tell he was literally going crazy, you know? And a woman can make or break you like that. So that's why, you know, I do these videos and I stress the points that I stress. Okay? So yeah, so a virtuous woman, her price is far above rubies. She's the difference between having a content life and having a life that is just pure hell, you know? And just Ask around, and a big part of that is her, being submissive to you, submitted. And like my wife, she has her moments, but it's not boom locking horns and some crazy power struggle. At the end of the day, she's a rational, wise woman, and you know, she knows that I'm leading from biblical truth. You know, some of these women don't care. It's all about their emotions, and it's craziness. Okay. All right. So let's see what else we have here. Okay. Some of these we already. Okay. So this is what we talked about earlier. This is First Corinthians, chapter 14, verse 34. Let me see if I could get it here. Yeah. Oops. All right. So we'll go to this. It's First Corinthians 14, chapter. I'm sorry, First Corinthians chapter 14, verse 34, and it says, "Let your women keep silent in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law. And if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, for it is a shame for women to speak in the church." New Testament, okay? For all y'all say, hey, it's not in the Old Testament. So, so this is what I was talking about because we read that verse earlier, and I was saying, yeah, I think that applies to just church, but it also makes sense, like, because I've read some articles about women in corporate America, how they're not happy. You have a lot of black women. They grow up. They're sold this independent woman thing, and this is going. This is a big cycle that happens in with women in Atlanta. I heard about, but they grow up, single family home, raised by a woman, and they're telling them, don't depend on no man. You an independent woman, this, that, and the other. There ain't no good men, this, that. Get your thing, be independent. Then they go to college. You independent woman, this, that, and the other. You are powered, you all this, that, and the other. Get your degree, be independent, this, that, and the other. Don't trust no man. Then they get into corporate America. Independent woman, they living it out. They moving up. They six figures, making all this money. And they're like, okay, I'm here. What's that big empty void feeling in my heart? What is that? It's like you done bought into this independent, don't need no man thing, and now here you are. You're 34 now. Now you're 35. 2 more years, you're gonna be 37, then 38. Well, now you're knocking on 40's door. That biological clock is ticking hard, loud, and you all messed up. So then what these women do? They go grab them a man. Well, it turns this dude, because these women are so powerful and domineering from all this deceptive manipulation, this path they've went. So now, no successful man who has his act together, who's a real man, who's not gonna let a woman run over him, is gonna mess with these women. So what do they get? Some soft, effeminized man. They get with him, start having sex with him. Turns out he's undercover gay, and they get HIV, trying to get pregnant, or they do get pregnant, and these guys are down low brothers and all that. I mean, read up on these stories. I mean, there's plenty of them out there, and it's big in Atlanta because there's so many gay men out there. But and am I telling these women, oh, don't get a college education, don't provide for yourself? No, I'm not saying that. You do need to get that education and provide for yourself. But you also need to have understanding on how to meet a real man and how to evaluate a real man and how to submit to a real man. You know, dump all that stuff that they're teaching you in these schools and in these churches that you don't need no man. You know, woman, thou art loose and all this other crap. You know, these women figured out they need a man. And what they end up doing, becoming lesbians and, you know, and all that other crazy stuff. I'm gonna do a video on that. I'm not gonna get too far off the path. But anyway, so a lot of these powerful women who are well off and got their act together, they're real domineering and controlling and don't know how to deal with a man. I mean, think about it. These women make all this money, and then a man comes along who makes less than them, but he's a real man. Is she gonna be submitted to him? Or is it in her mind, I win the bread, I'll run the house? No, these women are going to have trouble giving that up. So you need, on a spiritual level, you got to learn how to give that thing up. And, you know, these women, you run into a powerful man like me, you know, sparks are going to fly. But, you know, I'll say this. A lot of these women, if they're wanting this, it's not when you run into a true, and it's very rare to run into them, but there's, like I said, I'm going to do a video on how to meet men like this, but when you meet a man who's the real deal, it's not going to be as hard as you think to give the power over to him, okay? Now, if you got some soft, effeminate, oh yeah, praise Jesus type dude, oh yeah, it's going to be hard as heck to give up power and reverence him. You're going to chuckle when you hear that verse read that you got to reverence your man. Oh, Twan, I can't respect him. You're going to laugh, you know. But when he becomes a real man, then you'll get it, you know. So, but yeah, I'll do a video on that, and I'm sure it will, you know, it'll be a good one. Trust me, because I'm sure there'll be some stuff that a lot of people haven't heard. All right, let me see if there's any more verses here. It says Ephesians, therefore. Okay, yeah, this is a good one here, okay? And this is telling, this is how the wife is supposed to be, okay? All right. There we go. All right, it's Ephesians chapter 5, verse 24. And I'll pull that up on here. And it says, therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. And like I said, we read that earlier. You know, the wife needs to be subject to the husband. Okay, I thought that was a different verse, though, because I read that. So I'll just read through this one. Okay, yeah, this is the one I thought it was. And this is 1 Corinthians chapter, Okay, this is 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 3. And there we go. I'll pull it up here. Okay, it says 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God. Okay, and that goes back to what I said earlier. A lot of these churches want to talk, oh, everybody's equal. There's no equality in the Bible. There's hierarchy and order in the Bible, okay? And you can see it right there, you know, and it shows it clearly. And a lot of women are going to be going to hell because they're not getting that. They don't understand that, okay? But the head of the woman is the man, and the head of the man is Christ. There's hierarchy and order. There's a chain of command there. Okay, and uh, and you need to know that on a strong level, because when you're out there talking to women, you meet some woman, and you're seeing those little flags that keep flying up that she's a unsubmitted, disrespectful woman. That's a big, huge red flag. That's a red X. You need to cut it off, because think about it. If they can't submit to you, then you can't get them in the line with anything else in the word that it says they're supposed to be. They're not going to submit and respect you and let you lead. You're not going to be able to run your house in a godly way. You're walking into a disaster. Now, if you're already married to this, yeah, it's going to be a tough uphill battle. You know, you're going to be fighting up a hill with grease on it and boulders coming down at you. But the last time I checked, I'm a man. I'm designed for this jump. Okay, I can I have more willpower than emotional power, so I could will myself through all that stuff. You're designed to fight through stuff like this, so it's not impossible. It's about manning up and being a man. So if you're married and you're in a situation like that, you just got to man up, get in that word, and begin slowly turning your household and your relationship into that biblical direction. And the woman, she gonna have to either bend or break, but something's giving, because she ain't designed to put up a fight like that. But I'm gonna do a video about all that. So okay, so let's see if we got any more verses here. Yeah. Okay, and this is a because a lot of the stuff I okay, a lot of stuff I harped on was yeah, this is a good one here. A lot of stuff I harped on was seeing if they're submitted and if they'd be submitted. But this one here, in like manner also that women adorn themselves in modest apparel with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with broided hair, gold, pearls, costly array. So being all, you see the way some of these women dress with their butts hanging out and all this lustful wear, all they goodies hanging all out in your face, and you trying not to get the naughty tingles because the way this woman is dressed in front of you, they're not supposed to be like that. This is another good way to weed out the woman that you don't need to be messing with. If you see her with spandex pants and her butt hanging out and all this skin, and she doesn't look, excuse me, she's not dressed modestly, cut her off. That's it. It's a wrap. You know what I'm saying? Um, it's just a quick way to save your time. Because if she got all that stuff hanging out, trust me, all the other dudes see it and they plot and they like, man, how could I get on that? Let me go see. So she done probably had a bunch of people run through her. You know what I'm saying? But it's a good indicator of where their mind's at. If you see them, all that makeup, all this crazy hair, all this jewelry, all this, the way it looks, and they don't look modest, like they trying to, it says shamefacedness. Let's look up that definition. Okay, hold on. All right. All right. All right. Now this is very because I hadn't even looked this up. Okay. So let's pull this up here. It says modest, bashful. Okay. What else? Let's look up another. See another one. Bashful or modest, showing a sense of shame. Okay. All right. So that was a good definition there. Let's see if there's anything else. Feeling or showing shame. Okay. So that's good, and I know. See, because I've been out there, so I know what they're talking about. All right. There's some of these women that'll just be looking you right in your eyes. Hey, how you doing? All forward and uh, up on you. And then there's some women that you walk up to. Hey, how you doing, girl? And she be like, oh, I'm doing fine. Like that. That are kind of shy and bashful. Not these forward women who ain't got no shame, ain't embarrassed or nothing, and got all they stuff hanging out and all that. So that's another huge, sign. And I know about this and I've seen it. I just haven't put it into words. Like I said, everything's right there in the Bible to warn you. It's just these so-called shepherds never lead the flock in this direction and warn them about that big wolf there. But yeah, that's another big one. And a lot of times you could just watch a woman and see how they are. You could observe it without even talking to them. Just watch how they talk to other people or whatever. So yeah, that's another big one right there. Shamefacedness. And modest apparel. Got all they stuff covered up. They ain't got a whole spandex outfit on or whatever. The way these women dress these days. And I understand a lot of times it's hard to find baggy pants or something that's modest nowadays anyway, but modest in a certain in the respect of what's out there today, because it could be tough. But even that it eliminates a whole bunch of women, that and saves you a whole bunch of heartache and pain. Okay, just being able to you want to be ruthlessly efficient with your time. You want to weed the bad ones out as quick as possible. Like when you're weeding a garden, you're not going. You're like this. You see the weed, you go. That's a weed. You just pick it, toss. You're not like. Well, it does have little buds. What? It is green with a stem. Nah, you just pick it and you're done. You try to get it done. So you want to weed them out as quick as possible. You don't want to be over there, well, maybe, and, and then here it is, 10, 15 years later, you're old, gray hair, you don't got it like you used to, and your best years are past you, and you with this woman, and you break it off finally, and now you pass your good years, and you out there looking for somebody again. Oh, don't waste time. Just look at them. No, no, no. Weed them out. Okay, and I think, let me see if I have any more. No, that's it. So that's it for there. I hope that this was I hope this gave people a lot of information on what they need to look for in women. If you got any questions about anything, put a comment up there, send me a message or whatever. I check them all the time, and I'll do a video on it or write you an answer back or whatever. But check out some of my other videos on spiritual combat, and have a nice day.